friends, in one of our earlier blog posts, we had given a simple exercise based on the real world scenario involving Power Pivot and Power Query. You can click on the video here to get an overview of what the exercise was. And well, if you haven't attempted it yet, I would strongly encourage you to go ahead and give it a try. And then you can come back and watch the solution video and compare our approach with yours. Alright, so you can click on the blog post linked in this video to download the solution file. But in this video, I will walk you through the solution. So our first task was to get these tables into Power Pivot. To do that, you will go on the Power Pivot tab and click the Create Linked Table button. In Excel 2016 and 2013 and 16, this one is labeled Add to Data Model. It does the same thing. It gets this into Power Pivot. So you will do that for rounds, judges, contestants. That's done. Then for these ones, you would want to combine these using Power Query. Now there can be multiple approaches, but I'll show you the one that I used. Actually, let's take a step back. So I started off by going to Power Query and clicking From Table for each 6 of these. And that gave me these separate tables. Now these ones are load only. Now notice that these are connection only. Sorry, they're not load only, they're connection only. So I'm not loading them anywhere. I'm just using them as interim queries. And then finally I start building my my query. So you will start by append queries, and you can use that, the ribbon button, to get started on that. But then I tweaked the formula here to combine not just 1 but 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, all 6 files in here. Great. I didn't need the name because I already had the contestant name. I already had the contestant number, so I removed the contestant name. Don't need that. And then I talked about in the hints when I presented this problem is that you want these columns to be actually transformed into rows. That action is called unpivot. The reason being that this is really ugly to do calculation on, to do math on. And just watch this. You can say transform unpivot, and that's what I have here. Unpivot, and bam, now all your data is in one single column. To write your measure, you can just do a sum of this column, and that's it. So it makes it really easy for us to do the next steps in Power Pivot. Great, we got that. Now just some cleanup, rename, change type, and that's it. You're good to go. You're gonna close and load it into Power Pivot. Now we have all our tables in Power Pivot. The next steps would be to create relationships between these tables and then to define our measures. Let's take a look at that. Relationships are pretty straightforward. You can see how these are connected to each other. This one is connected by the contestant number, this one is by judge number, and this one is by kind of the round score, which is the key here. Right, and again, these are pretty much directly from the Excel table. Rounds, judges, contestants. The only different one is scoring, which is coming from Power Query. Terrific. So we have relationships created, and that would let us do pretty much everything in this pivot except these. For these, we need to define some DAX measures, right? So just let me give you a look into here. So you can see the category slicer here. That's coming from the contestant. And similarly, the name and number are coming from there. Day is coming from round. So yeah, all these fields are pretty straightforward. You're just going to drag and drop them from the appropriate table. The only key addition here, key next steps here being measures. So let's talk about that. Start with the first one, score total. Come on. All right, edit measure. Now this one is simple. And again, all our hard work in shaping the data, shaping all those scoring sheets using Power Query has paid off, because the score total is a very simple measure. So sum table column name. Terrific. Score weighted. Well, before that, let me show you what we're doing here. First of all, we define a measure round weightage to determine. Just say, hey, if one round has been selected, then just return me the weightage of that round. So this is pretty straightforward. And again, if you look at the round table, I'm just saying, hey, if one round has been selected, then just give me the weightage. That's all that measure is doing. And then I'm going to use that in this score weighted, And here I'm using SumX. Why SumX? Why not sum? Well, SumX is an iterator, right? So sum operates on a chunk of rows. SumX is an iterator. It steps through tables one by one. It belongs to a family of iterator functions, X functions. There's SumX, MinX, MaxX, AverageX, and so on. In fact, there's also a function called filter, which is very useful, which is also an X function, but doesn't have X in its name. But anyway, so here we have SumX, an iterator, and the first parameter it accepts is, hey, what do you want me to iterate over? And for this one, I'm saying, hey, just iterate over each round. So calculate this round by round. Why? Because each round may have a different weightage. That's why I need to do this calculation round by round. So SumX iterates over each round. For each round, it figures out the weightage, figures out the score total, and just multiplies them to get the weighted score. Perfect. So that's my weighted score right there. And the last measure is rank. Of course, somebody may say, hey, this is not needed. You can just sort it by score weighted. That's perhaps okay. But rank is certainly a very useful thing, which you would need to display at times. Of course, once you have a rank measure, you can do other fancy things. You can say, hey, for example, a sales scenario, you can say, how much money do I get from my top 5 customers, my top 10 customers? What proportion of that is compared to of my total income? Stuff like that. So rank, absolutely love it. And let's look at the formula. So ignore the if is blank part. That's just saying, hey, if there's no score, there's no ranking either. So just culls those out. Right, but the heart of it is this one here, rank X. So it's pretty similar to how you write rank X all the time. You would say rank X, and typically you would say all, so rank something across this whole table, and then you give the metric which needs to be evaluated, right? The only reason we're using all selected here is in case if I'm selecting miss versus misses, so I'm selecting only a subset of the contestants. I don't want to cycle through the list of all contestants. I only want to cycle through the contestants that are shown here, and that's why I'm using all selected, but otherwise it's pretty standard. So there you go, folks. That's kind of the solution. That's the general steps that I take. You want all your data to end up in your data model. You can either get that directly or via Power Query, and then in your data model you want to leverage the power of relationships. You want to have clean data table and then lookup tables, the who, what, where, when, how, and then finally all your math, all your calculation, it better be in measures and not in calculated columns. So think about your own solution. Think about if you followed the same approach, if you followed the same best practices. Did you end up somehow with a single flat table? I hope not. Did you end up with a lot of calculated columns? I hope not. I hope you had clean, distinct tables, which is the best practice for Power Pivot, and I hope you ended up writing your math using measures in DAX formula. I hope you enjoyed this exercise. I certainly enjoyed being part of this beauty pageant, and I also enjoyed being able to present this to all of you as an exercise for applying Power Pivot and Power Query. Alright, well, till next time, power on, my friends.